Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Custom Spotlight. Today I thought we'd take a little bit of a diversion from the normal likes of the standard gauge engines and look at a couple engines on a bit of a smaller scale. As such, I have asked Douglas to cross the island of Sodor and pick up some friends from another railway. He should be here any minute now. There we go. Today on Custom Spotlight, we're looking at Hugh and Fred. Now, for those of you who don't know who they are, these two are narrow gauge engines from the Skarloey Railway. And for those who don't know what narrow gauge engines are, they're basically smaller engines that can climb higher hills because they are much smaller. These engines work in the mountains of the island of Sodor, and they are among the Skarloey Railway engines. Many of you may know of the likes of Skarloey, Rheneas, Sir Handel, Peter Sam, Rusty, Duncan, Luke, Mighty Mac, Freddy. But if you don't know who these characters are, I don't blame you. Most people don't. They are book-only characters, more Railway Series exclusive characters. Hugh got his own story in his own book. Fred over here was never shown in any illustration ever, and we only know he exists because he's mentioned in the same story that Hugh was introduced in, and all the Skarloey engines in the books are based off of engines on the Tallyclyn Railway in Wales, which you can still go and visit today. You can visit all the real-life counterparts for all these engines. Today, I'm not only going to talk about the customs, but I'm also going to shed some light on the actual real-life bases of these engines. So, let's start with Hugh since he's the front of the line. Hugh is the Skarloey Railway's number 7. And I made him using a model of the Skarloey Railway's number 7. Yeah, the TV show kind of made up the Skarloey Railway's number 7 as being Fearless Freddy. In the books, it's this guy, and I'm pretty sure he came first, actually. I'm certain he came first. This guy is the OG number 7. I believe he was coined as the Railway's number 7 in the 90s, whereas Freddy didn't even exist until like 2010. Not 2010, 2006. He did get a wooden railway model, which is where his face comes from. Ripped straight off the wooden railway toy and put on the sky. I don't have the wooden railway model on hand at the moment, but He's a pretty common one to find. They released him often. So I took a model of Fearless Freddy and painted it entirely red with blue stripes to resemble his appearance in the books. Ivo Hugh here is based on Tom Rolt, I believe. Wait. No, Tom Rolt is Peter Sam's basis. What am I talking about? What's the guy's name? I don't remember. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna do some research real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. So after doing some research, it turns out I was right the first time. It is his basis is Tom Rolt, and for those of you who are wondering, since I brought it up, Peter Sam's basis is Edward Thomas. I somehow completely forgot that. You can tell that I'm not professional. Anyway, you can still see the engines, both of these bases, at the Tally Quinn Railway today. I think that's basically all we have to say for Ivo Hugh. So let's now talk about the engine that took way more effort to build, Fred. So Fred is based on the engine Alf from the Tally Quinn Railway. And for those of you who are keen-eyed, I built Fred backwards. Anyway, before we get into that, let me just explain what this model is. This is a Trackmaster Classic Salty shell. I know. I bought a shell of Salty. Okay. I bought a shell of Salty and I cut the cab and back section off, just keeping the front bonnet. Then I added air-dried clay to one side of the body to extend the bonnet out this way. And then I stuck it on a Trackmaster Classic, on a Trackmaster 2 motor base. If I'm to take off the shell thing, you can clearly see exactly what had to be done to make Fred's body. You can see on the inside there, it is in fact red. I put some little air dry clay in there to support the batteries. You can see some more right there. My pitiful attempt at a face. And it's basically just an interference fit. It basically just sits on there. There's nothing actually holding it on, so it will fall off if he takes a tumble. Like if this guy falls over, his bonnet it falls off. You see that. I also stuck Salty's back buffer beam onto this little notch thing that the Trackmaster 2 chassis has. And I cut off the little screw thing at the front. So it's basically a giant interference fit. I built it like this because I was inspired by how Max Monty 1516 built his Fred. Link in the description to his video where he talked about this, where he talked about his model. I was amazed when I saw how good that thing looked. So I wanted to make one for myself. So on the Tally Quinn Railway, they call Alf an unmovable object. They claim that he doesn't move. The earth under Alf moves. So I like to imagine that Fred is basically the exact same way. We only know that he exists in the TV series canon and the Railway series canon because of one mention in, I think it's New Little Engine, the book that Hugh was introduced in, and because of the Tallyquin Railway. Every engine there is in fact, every skarloey engine is in fact based on a Tallyquin engine. No exceptions. So, except for the ones in the TV series, there are no exceptions to that rule. Every engine on the Tallyquin in the books, there's a skarloey engine that matches it. I think in the books, the only exception would be Duke, because there is no George England class on the Tallyquin, but he's still an engine. But he is based off an engine from the Festiniog. So that is basically Hugh and Fred. There's not really a whole lot to talk about with these two. I really just wanted to make an episode on narrow gauge engines, because I know a lot of people really care about the skarloey railway engines. I've personally always preferred the standard gauge engines of the Northwestern Railway, but the skarloey railway does hold a special place in my heart. And I do love most of the characters on the railway. Over the course of this series, you will probably see some more narrow gauge customs, but similar to road vehicles, it probably won't happen again for a while. I do have a custom skarloey, but I plan on just tracking down an actual one at some point, so it wouldn't really be worth showing off. But anyway, I do really hope that you enjoyed this little look at narrow gauge engines. And yeah, just because they're small, don't think that they are useless. Narrow gauge engines are actually pretty useful. You know what they say, after all, never overlook a little engine. And on that cheesy quote, I think it's time to take these guys back to their railway. I'll be taking these guys back to their own little railway now. Stay tuned for more custom spotlights coming soon. Until next time, goodbye, everybody. Hello, everyone. Thomas here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, click the links on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to Jacob's channel. It would mean a lot. Time to get going now. Goodbye.